Greetings, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of a totally normal podcast about films, Atom Path. Because I'm not getting sick of saying it. And I am joined by my lovely co-host,
Leon.
And today we have a very great film to talk about. We are talking about the original 1933 King Kong.
We do.
Just so immediately, general impression?
I did enjoy it, especially the last few minutes. Yeah, that's my general impression. And yours?
Similar. I enjoyed it, but I feel like I'm going to enjoy the remakes more for general viewing.
Yeah, probably. Me too.
But it's also a special effects masterpiece.
Yeah, if you consider that it's such an old movie, it did age quite well.
Yeah. And even in
yeah.
its, like, stop motion, it's stop motion, but it at least looks impressive.
Yeah.
So, while we're in the spoiler-free section, do you think there's anything really worth talking about in this section?
I don't even think that you can spoil King Kong anymore. Because
That's a very good point.
Because it's like the Star Wars plot twist.
Yeah. Very well. For all like, shall we say, two of you who care about the in-depth, engrossing story of King Kong, we understand. Farewell. Yeah, shall we just... No spoiler-free section now. Let's just talk shit.
Yeah, okay.
Because you're right, I don't... It's such an iconic ending. It is like Darth Vader. It's like, how...
Yeah, you just know it. You probably saw parodies of it, or you saw a newer version of it, or even
the
on
iconic
pictures.
picture of Kong on the Empire State.
Yeah.
Which, do you want to give a basic plot overview?
Yeah, I can do. So the basic plot is that there's a movie director, and he specializes on filming, how is it called? Is it filming on location?
Yeah, he does, like, on-location filming. He, like, films nature and stuff.
Yeah, so he travels around the world, goes to different jungles, and films his motion pictures there. And this time he heard of a island that inhabits King Kong. I don't know if they actually say what King Kong exactly is.
Very early on, I distinctly remember, they speak of, like, a legend of King Kong, but, like, they don't describe what it is.
Yeah, they say...
And I think they seem convinced that it's, like, the god of the natives.
Yes, they said something about a god, but they didn't say big monkey.
Yeah.
So yeah, they are shipping over there with a woman. Mm-hmm. We go further into how the woman got into this later, I guess.
It's such a good scene. I love that scene. It's so ridiculous.
Yeah, because I want to discuss this more in detail. Okay, so they sail there, and then they disturb the tribe while they have some kind of ritual, and then they see the woman. They say, we want this woman as the bride for King Kong. Then they kidnap the woman and offer it to King Kong. King Kong runs away with the woman, but he doesn't eat her, sorry, not it.
I think the poor woman's had enough right now, so I don't think she needs to refer to her as an it.
Yeah, and later on, the crew saves the woman, and they capture King Kong, bring him back to New York. There he is.
And then you
Yeah.
know what happens next. He breaks out. He comes to the Empire State Building. He gets shot.
And these are just the last 20 minutes of a 104
It's an hour and a
minutes.
half.
Yeah.
And honestly, I was expecting the New York scene to be a bit more, but no, it was relatively to the point.
Yeah.
It's not like... so in fact, to give a comparison between the film we've talked about and here, Mothra, as much as I enjoyed Mothra, they definitely dragged out some of the scenes to, like...
Yeah.
But... And I think this is my initial observation I wanted to make about this movie is... Every scene that they have is fairly to the point.
Yeah. Even though it's relatively long for such an old movie with its 104 minutes, they're still they're still on point.
Yeah, because like the film does start rather slow. When they're on Skull Island, it's very much a case of, okay, we're trying to sneak up on the tribe. Then the tribe notices them. Like, that's a scene. And then there is more shenanigans with the tribe. They go back to the boat and gets kidnapped. That's a scene.
Yeah, even though you can sum up this quite fast, they take their time, but they don't drag out each scene. So it's very well paced for a movie that old.
I agree. They balanced it really well.
Yeah.
And like the build up to Kong especially is really good.
Did you sorry, today I don't find the words.
You're fine.
Did you remember when Kong actually appeared the first time, like the timestamp? Because I didn't look out for it.
I don't remember the exact timestamp, but I think it was just before the halfway mark.
Yeah, I think it was a little bit earlier than the half.
Yeah. And honestly, it didn't... That isn't a bad side. Like, it's like... There's a good amount of build-up. The build-up wasn't a case of like, oh, when's King Kong going to appear? The build-up was in like, ooh, they're really creating this like fantasy of Kong. And when you finally see him, you're like, ooh.
Yeah, imagine watching this movie when it came out. So like, you're sitting in the theaters and you don't quite know what will happen. And then Kong appears.
It's quite fantastic. It is, yeah, it's actually like, you're right, it's like, there are so many movies where it's like, you gotta put it in the context.
Yeah.
But yeah, this had to have been one that really blew people away. I got a fact relating to that.
Oh, okay.
Did you know that King Kong was one of, if not the first speaky, so movie with spoken dialogue,
No, I didn't know.
to have a full soundtrack?
Oh.
It was the first to have a full soundtrack. Because stuff like Dracula and Frankenstein does have music, but it was typically just for the opening credits.
Okay.
But King Kong has a full soundtrack throughout the whole film, and it's relatively good.
Yeah. Lot of orchestra.
Yes. So there's something I also want to discuss about King Kong, and I think this is kind of go back to what you were saying about like how like imagine how it must have felt to watch it.
Yeah.
I feel like because like we'll get into the stop motion later, but I feel like the easy thing to assume was guy in a suit.
Yeah.
But they do that later. They do that in King Kong versus Godzilla, King Kong Escapes, and the 70s and 80s got King Kong. And all of those... Actually, the 70s suit looks pretty good. But all of those, like the first two of those suits, look terrible.
But
Like,
that's always the thing with new technology. Like the first CGI movies look terrible too, and now
oh
it's
my gosh.
gotten to a good point.
But yeah, it's like it's remarkable how a film released 30 years prior looks like so much more fantastic than Godzilla vs. King Kong.
Yeah.
I said that as someone who does like that movie. Don't get me wrong, I think that's a great movie.
Was it a Japanese or a American?
Yeah,
production?
it was the original Japanese. Sorry, King Kong
okay.
versus Godzilla.
Because what would interest me is how King Kong and versus Godzilla even came to mind. Like, who had the idea to let those titans clash? Do you know it, or is
I
this...
don't know it. It might be a story for another episode.
I think I will look it
Wait,
up.
do you have it?
For next time. So our...
Oh wait, no. If you got it, go ahead. Because I genuinely thought you were asking me if I knew it.
No, I genuinely asked you.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
I will do my research for
Okay.
next time. That's what I wanted to say.
You see, the one thing about King Kong vs. Godzilla that I don't understand is that Godzilla is the size of a skyscraper.
Yeah.
Now King Kong is a bit smaller than that.
A little bit.
Yeah. And whilst Kong's size was a little inconsistent throughout the movie.
Yeah. Like, he changed quite a lot. But I think that's pretty hard to do. To keep it
When
consistent.
you've got to do forced perspective
Yeah.
and stuff. So, stop motion is obviously kind of the big way, how they did all the special effects.
Yeah.
Any particular highlights you'd like to talk about first off with the stop motion? Because I've got a couple, but like, any particular ones you want to point out?
With the stop motion now.
Yeah,
Or in general.
just a stop motion.
Okay, stop motion. I think the facial expressions of Kong were really good.
Oh, like the close-ups and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were really good.
Like, they put so much effort in those details. Like all his wrinkles and how he shows his teeth and stuff like that.
I agree with you. He looks... Kong in general looks fantastic.
Yeah.
He moves exactly how you'd think a giant gorilla would move. And I know that's like well, duh, but like... Early days of cinema. Okay, that's good. So... Yeah, like... It was like... Old day cinema... A monkey... A stop motion monkey moving the way a monkey should. Especially an ape.
Yeah.
Stop motion ape walking the way an ape should. He's pretty impressive. My favourites, one of my personal favourite bits of stop motion, there are so many good bits. I was a really big fan of T-Rex.
Oh yeah, especially all those dinos were really nice.
Yeah, but especially like the fight scene and how like there was a really good struggle.
Yeah, and it was such a long fight scene.
It was. And he takes him out such a brutal way.
Oh. Yeah.
But we'll get on to, because we both commented on this, that this film is surprisingly brutal. But, snaps his jaw. And, I'll also get onto this later, in the colorized version of this movie,
Mm-hmm.
it actually shows blood.
Well, there was black blood.
Yeah, well, black. Yeah, there was black blood.
Yeah.
But like, it's red blood.
Okay.
I feel like if they showed that in 1933, people would have fainted.
Probably.
So, do you want to talk about characters? Because I suppose outside of Kong, there are 3 main characters.
I want to talk about the brutality of this movie first.
The what?
The brutality. How
Oh,
brutal
you
it
want to
is.
get on the brutality?
Yeah.
You are alarmingly enthusiastic about getting onto the brutality.
I want to talk about it.
Viewers at home, if I am not found after the recording of this episode, please check Skull Island. What was the most brutal scene in the movie?
The most
The
brutal
movie is
thing.
surprisingly violent.
So I think the whole scene where they try to save the woman. I think
Oh.
that whole sequence is. It's not a scene because it's more than one scene, but
Yeah, it's a
That's-
couple scenes.
yeah, like when they are killing the. Is it called Stegosaurus in
Stegosaurus.
Stegosaurus? Okay, so when they are killing this dino, this is kind of brutal because they shoot it 3 times, and you hear its death fight, his cries, and stuff like this. And then they run. Yeah, they are searching for King Kong,
I
and
fucking love this. I know what you're getting on to. Can I say this? Because it's like actually one of my favourite fucking scenes.
yeah, go on.
They get chased by I think it's either a Diplodocus or a Brachiosaurus through a swamp.
Yeah.
It emerges from the swamp first off. But it fucking eats a guy.
Not
They were
just one guy.
herbivores.
Not just one guy.
But like, there's the scene where he chases him into the tree, and he's like, "Yeah, I have neck."
This is so brutal. And how you hear them scream and stuff. I didn't expect this at all.
It's you expect a relatively wholesome movie. So the scene following after with the log, where King Kong slowly gets them all off the log to their deaths.
Yeah.
So they all just fall to their deaths, right? With the exception of like the main characters.
Yeah.
Kinda wrong. There's a deleted scene
Okay.
which would have made the film more brutal.
Oh, wait. Is it the scene at the death pit?
The spiders.
Oh! I saw that. So I saw
Mhm.
an uncut version, and that explains how we were this far apart. Because we watched it together. So, not really together. We watched it separate, but we texted each other while watching it, and at some point we were unsynced, and I think I just found out the reason why we were unsynced.
Yeah, but I have a pre-owned copy of it, and it started sticking at like one particular point. But like I thought I ended up missing quite a lot, like a large scene. But no, it was the Spider Pit scene. Do you want to know why that scene exists and why it's a little bit fucking cheeky of them to put them in that version?
Yeah, tell me
That-
about it.
That scene was a bonus feature created by Peter Jackson whilst making the remake.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was
So-
they tried to recreate the missing lost scene.
Yeah, I know this scene because I saw a clip of it on YouTube, and this is pretty brutal too. So this deleted scene was recreated in the new Kong because Peter Jackson liked it, or why?
It was a test when they were filming the 2005 King Kong.
Yeah.
They wanted to pay tribute to the original,
Mm-hmm.
So as a special feature, and they did a making of, they recreated this scene
Ooh,
using
nice.
old film techniques.
Nice.
It's really cool, yeah. That would explain everything.
Yeah,
Um,
because that was really confusing that you
Yeah.
couldn't understand when I said, "Are you at the spider pit right now?"
yeah,
Where
because
they
you're like,
fight
have you
all
got the
these
bit where, like, the
monsters.
fighting monsters in the pit? And
The what?
I'm like, yes, no. There's a woman on a branch. Another really, this is skipping ahead of it, sadly, with the brutality. The whole scene where they're trying to take down Kong in the village, because
Oh yeah.
Carl, the film producer, has the brilliant idea of, let's take this very angry, murderous ape to New York.
Best idea.
And that entire fight scene, oh my gosh.
And I think even every crew member says he's nuts. Why do you do this? Why do you want to do this?
And they go along with it. He stomps a man to death.
Yeah. Not just once, but I think he, like when you put out a cigarette, he crushes it and then turns his foot on the ground like this.
He did, yeah. And he even stomps again a few times just to make sure. You commented in our messages, especially, that there was a scene where giant monster movies keep fucking doing this.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
There was just a child.
I don't know what. Why do directors do this all the time? Like, it's such a cheap trick to just put a child in the way of the monster in the middle of the road.
I mean, it's not quite as bad as Mothra, because at least with this, I can understand it's like the child was probably playing in the village.
Yeah.
Well, Mothra, she just fucking drops her baby. It's absolutely ridiculous. Regardless of that. And then we even get to New York. There's some utterly brutal scenes, such as when he's trying to get to Anne.
Mm-hmm.
And in perhaps one of the most violent scenes I think I've ever seen in one of these movies, he sticks his hand through a window, grabs a woman, realises it's not the woman he's after, and drops her.
The end.
There is no, like, and you briefly see her falling. There's no, like, oh, it's okay. There were firemen at the bottom with a pillow. No, she's dead.
No. Poor woman.
Just
I think I just found out why this movie was allowed to be this brutal.
go on.
On the Wikipedia it says that it was pre-code. Do you know code?
Yeah, so it was before that anyone had a say.
Censorship. Before censorship.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, Night of the Living Dead was like one of the last movies released before like age ratings were introduced.
Okay.
So like basically everything before that, like kids could walk into.
Okay.
Yeah, just imagine being a kid that's like, oh, the big monkey's got that one. What's he doing? What's he doing?
But what I think is weird is that you can still read every book you want to read. Like, there's no age restrictions for books, and some books clearly aren't intended to be read by children.
Oh gosh, you're right. It's like a child. Right, a child cannot watch Friday the 13th.
No.
I'd never want a child to watch Friday the 13th. A
Yeah.
child can read the novelization.
Yeah.
So this film has just been a blast of like old timey filmy stuff. Any more brutal stuff you want to talk about?
No. Now we can go on to the boring characters.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, they are a bit on the boring side. I mean, I think I was more emotionally invested in the random kid from Mothra. We have, as our cast, we have Carl Denham. He's just a bit of a dick.
He's the director, right?
Yeah, he's the director.
Yeah.
And it's like... Yeah, at the start he's very much like, oh, he's an eccentric director. But then when he's like, let's take Kong home, you're like, are you really sure? And then let's put him on a stage, chained up, to make money. It's like, dude, this is a really bad idea.
And the best thing you can do is blind Kong with flashlights.
There is a sequel to this movie called Son of Kong.
Okay.
And he returns in it. And apparently the setup for that movie is literally everyone in New York is suing him. Next up we have is Anne. Do you want to talk about Anne? Because you seemed very eager to discuss the scene.
Well, how she's introduced it's interesting. So the director is searching for an actress to play the leading role in his new film. So he's riding around in a taxi cab, I think, and he searches at a women mansion. Is it right? Women mansion.
I think I wasn't quite paying enough attention to the dialogue. I'm sure it was something either very wholesome or very horrible.
Yeah.
In fact, to Wikipedia. But yes, do go on.
Yeah, okay. And then he's at a kind of marketplace. Not marketplace, just one little shop that sells apples and stuff like this. And a woman walks up to this little shop and just touches an apple. And the owner totally goes totally mad and is angry at her and says she tries to steal the apple. I see that. And Carl was his name, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Carl looks in her face, just smiles and says, "Perfect," grabs her and drags her in the taxi and she's on the boat.
Yeah, there's like, it's basically a case of like, he's just like, this woman potentially robbed. Perfect.
Yeah, an alternate title for the movie would be Apple Theft Gone Wrong.
Or That Time I Got Kidnapped by a Lunatic.
I just wanted this
That was not
nice
Rona.
looking
I always
apple.
cough.
I just wanted to have this nice looking apple, and now I'm here on an island and a giant monkey tries to whatever he tries. I don't know what his intentions were.
Let's not discuss the implication of the fact that he was probably horny.
Yeah.
So there's also another character called Jack. He's sexist, and he's also horny.
Yeah. So, let's talk about Jack. I think
Yes.
you should maybe you describe him.
He seems like... So he's like he's like one of the ship guys.
Yeah.
And his whole idea is that a woman would never, a woman on a boat. This is ridiculous. I sent so many messages. Basically, after he said that, I sent so many messages that was like, oh, the feeble female. And just basically taking the piss out of all sexist tropes. But then, despite the fact that he keeps referring to her as a nuisance, a good 10 minutes later, they're kissing.
Yeah. Before that, he literally said stuff like, women can't help being a bother.
Mm-hmm.
So she's just standing there, and he says, yeah, you are in the way already.
Yeah. And then...
And this woman just laughs up.
When they get back, Carl's like, they are to be married. It's like, how long has this been?
I don't know.
Gosh, there are so many questions.
Yeah, and the one Asian character they had.
Yeah, the singular Asian character, I feel...
Well, at least they didn't blackface.
Yeah, at least this film cast.
Yeah.
Right, even if it kind of... There were definitely bits that have not aged well.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's the best you could say. Like, honestly, I think... You know what? We've always kind of definitely made a point to, discuss in older films, it's more offensive nature. I feel like what's been... King Kong, everything's been said.
Yeah.
We could go on a whole spiel about how, there's sexism, there's racism and stuff, but there are articles and articles, there are videos explaining it, so... Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a relic of the time.
It is a relic of the time. Do you have any points you want to move on to?
Yeah, do you know if there was a book they based it on, or was it an original screenplay?
Because I know there is I think this was an original screenplay, but it also got a book at the same time.
Ah, okay.
Which, curiously enough, is currently in the public domain, because I think book rights handled differently.
Mm.
But yeah, so... yes, there is a book, but it came at the same time.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. The sequel
yeah.
was made 9 months after.
9 months?
How do you make a film in 9 months?
Well, I think I had to see the film to judge if it was a good idea to make it this fast or not.
Yeah. We'll get there at some point.
Yeah, probably.
I know. Godzilla, its sequel was also released several months after, and Godzilla Raids Again marks the very sudden downfall of the Godzilla franchise.
Just when it started.
Yeah, the first film, wow, this is great. The second film, oh no.
Say, do we manage to go just through one podcast without mentioning Godzilla? Because I think until now we mentioned Godzilla every time.
Should we do an episode about a Godzilla movie where we just don't say the word Godzilla?
Yeah, probably Shin Godzilla.
Yeah. This big
Okay.
radioactive blob boy.
Yeah.
Ah, gosh.
That big lizard thing. That atomic lizard.
The atomic lizard. What? What point do you want to move on to next?
I think it's interesting if you interpret it now, this movie. For example, I'm pretty sure that King Kong wasn't supposed to be something like a allegory for slave trade and stuff like this. But if you view it and you see it as such, I think you aren't wrong. Or do you think that interpretations have to be what was on the mind of the creators? Or do you think interpretations are... Yeah.
That's a good question. I think that an interpretation doesn't have to be like what the creator intentionally. It's definitely the author. When something goes out to the public, it doesn't actually matter how the author wanted it. It is up to the public's interpretation.
Yeah, that's the same what I think. Because it's not... As soon as the author releases his work, it kind of becomes a thing of its own.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, I'm trying to think of a very good example here. Oh dear. I can't think of a very good example.
Well, I know that The Thing, the horror movie, do you know it?
Yes, I know The Thing.
Yeah. I think this one was interpreted as the Cold War, stuff like this.
Okay.
Because the fear of Soviet spies, stuff like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that everybody could be a spy, so that everybody could be the Thing. And I don't know if this was intentional too.
Mm-hmm. I think the original intention for this game... No, sorry, this game, what the fuck? Sorry, I had the King Kong game Wikipedia open up because I was like curious about it. This film.
Okay. I think I played it on the Game Boy Advance.
Oh my gosh, that sounds majestic. I think the intention of this film was like it was kind of like a whole Great Depression. Like how the lengths people are willing to go to make money.
Okay.
But I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? So I
think
think it's an allegory for slave trade and slavery.
I can see that, yeah. I definitely see it. I see that. I also see an element of exploiting nature.
Yeah.
How, like, some things should just be left.
Yeah.
Because
do you think... No, go on.
If they hadn't have taken Kong... If they hadn't have, like, disturbed nature... Yeah, it'd be a bit shit because the natives have to still sacrifice. But the natives' home wouldn't have been destroyed.
Yeah.
And Kong would still be alive. New York would not have a wreck. It's like... You definitely... There's that element of it. What do you think? Like, what do you think on... Like, have you got more style on that?
On that, yeah, I think you just shouldn't mess with nature.
Yeah.
In general. But that's always kind of the core of monster movies, I think. At least giant monster movies.
Mm-hmm.
it's always like, leave nature alone. Don't mess with those old gods.
Oh yeah, just don't, fuck. This is one of those films where it's like, there's a lot to say, but a lot's been said before.
Yeah.
Because we could, there are so many scenes, things we could go into, but like, I've got at least one point I definitely want to go into.
I got another one too, so we can discuss them if you want.
Yeah. Do you want to go first?
I can. So my point is, I wasn't sure if you were supposed to like the main characters, because for me they were totally unlikable. So the woman was okay, but I think the director, he was a dick. Jack was a dick.
Yeah.
Okay, the captain of the ship was okay too.
The captain was a nice guy.
Yeah.
I think I'm... Oh, that's difficult, because...
Yeah, like back then, was it... Did people like Jack? Because I think people were supposed to question the director, but I don't know if they should question Jack and his sexism.
Oh.
Because I don't know if it was okay back then and people just brushed it off.
I think it was a of the time thing, because I'm looking at stuff about the Peter Jackson movie.
Mm-hmm.
And that very much more kind of portrays what you're kind of going on with, that you're meant to question Carl, but Jack's meant to be more heroic.
Mm-hmm.
Because Jack is portrayed as being brave and like kind of like more of a main protagonist.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see your point. Yeah, that's an interesting thing to consider. Yeah, I don't think you're meant to sympathise with Carl, but I think you're meant to like Jack. But with time, it's now like a,
Yeah, I think as soon as he becomes the love interest of the woman, you're supposed to like him.
Mm-hmm. But it's just so fast.
Yeah.
The point I wanted to make was the ending.
Okay.
So, I think we all know, we all know the ending to King Kong. He climbs the Empire State Building. He gets shot down. He died. What did you make of the ending?
So, it is kind of weird because Kong is such a difficult character in this movie, because he kills a lot of people, but he also kills with kind of a reason, because they want to take away that woman again.
Mm-hmm.
And they disturbed him.
Yeah, it's his instinct.
Yeah, but in the end, you kind of sympathize with him.
Yeah.
At least I did, but it could be that I'm brainwashed because of new iterations of King Kong where he is more human, and they just project this human aspects of Kong onto this one.
Mm-hmm. And I'm probably a bit of the same there. Yeah, it's like, it's very much a weird one where it's like, you've kind of got to consider, does the film think that King Kong is the bad guy?
Yeah, because in the end, when he dies, the woman seems kind of relieved. But I know that in the Peter Jackson version, the woman, I saw the ending on YouTube again as a clip.
Okay.
And it's really sad to see how he dies. Like, he gets shot in the back and then he holds out his finger, and I think the woman touches it a last time and looks him in the eyes. And both look really sad, and then he falls.
Yeah.
And in this version, she seemed relieved.
Yeah, he's definitely more of the monster.
Yeah.
I wonder if, like... I'm not exactly sure what would have triggered it, but I wonder if maybe King Kong vs. Godzilla had a little bit of a play on Kong kind of being portrayed as a more sympathetic character.
Because Godzilla has some kind of character too.
Yeah, because Godzilla's very much a monster, and at that point he was still a bad guy.
Yeah.
So it was like, I wonder if that kind of sparked the change that maybe they should start writing King Kong as a good guy, especially as, you know, like, I feel like by the time the first remake happened, there was definitely a lot of, like, sympathy toward animals. I think public opinion was changing on stuff. People were, like, more sympathetic characters.
Yeah.
I really like the final line, though.
Oh yeah, it's so iconic.
It was beauty that killed the beast. That's a great final line.
Yeah, and it's the same line in Peter Jackson's version, because that was also in the clip, and I like that Jack Black played Carl.
That's interesting, because it's nice to see Jack Black not play a character that's basically just Jack Black.
Yeah, I think he did a really nice job. I never saw the Peter Jackson version fully, but I always saw clips, or I saw the end of it. I remember there was a scene on a frozen lake and stuff like this.
Yeah, I know it's a bit longer.
Yeah, it's 3 hours.
Oh my god.
I don't know why I never watched it, though.
No.
Maybe I was too young when it came out.
I've definitely never seen that version. I've never seen any version of this version. Do you have any final thoughts you want to say on the movie before we get to our opinion?
Yeah, if you brush the sexism and racism and stuff like this aside, if you're able to do this and see that it's just a relic of the time, I think you can enjoy this movie for what it is, and it is a nice action monster film.
Yeah. I agree with you. It's like, out of every single one of the movies we've watched, and even though I consider this film like a visual effects masterpiece,
Yeah.
I think this movie's aged the most.
Yeah. But I think it's part of like the cabinet of Dr. Caligari. The characters didn't really talk.
Yeah.
So they couldn't say many things that could have been considered racist and stuff like this.
And also, honestly, I think it's kind of part of the charm. Not the racism, the aged bit.
Yeah.
To clarify, racism is not part of the charm. Do not put that in an out of context thing. Just like, part of the charm of old movies is that, like, they've aged. There are plot points where it's like, well, this is a bit, you know?
Yeah.
It's almost a running gag in the old monster movies that if something frightening happens, a woman is going to faint.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. So, what are your final thoughts? What's your opinion? What is your rating?
With my rating.
Yes, your
Okay.
rating.
With all things considered, even the racism part, I would give it a solid 5.
I'm gonna give it, because unfortunately I'm kind of struggling to and this is just that my brain's a bit mushy today.
Okay.
Because I tried to give it a rating in part with the time, because to clarify, I absolutely enjoyed this movie. I want to watch it again at some point. And I think for the time especially, it was amazing.
Yeah.
But
Of
I'm
course,
gonna
I
give it
agree
like
with you.
6 for today.
Yeah, it was from today's perspective.
And from today's perspective, it's certainly aged, and it has a pretty good remake, from what I've heard.
Yeah, I think it is great as a base material to build on top.
Kind of like a lot of the Draculas and stuff.
Yeah. So I'm thankful for that.
I agree.
Okay, Kong vs. Godzilla, who wins?
I don't think either of them. I think they're gonna throw in some... Oh, actually, they fight X-Think.
Yeah, but the posters say that only one will live, so who do you think will die?
It'll be King Kong.
Yeah.
They've got a potential franchise with Godzilla. So, what are you subjecting me to next time? I mean, I know.
Yeah, it's what I promised in our first episode, I think.
Yeah,
I
you
said
alluded
I want
to
to
it.
get into J-horror. And now it's finally the time to watch Cairo or Pulse, how it is called in English. Internet Ghosts.
I will be a whimpering child in that review. And do not worry, I am intending to exact my revenge.
Looking forward.
I'm excited for it.
Okay.
And I'm also excited for the nightmares it will trigger. Oh boy. Oh gosh.
Okay, let's wrap up.
Yes. Thank you, as always, for watching / listening / potentially, if future tech exists yet, smelling this episode.
I love that you do this all the time.
I have been Claire.
I am still Leon.
Yep, nothing has changed yet.
Yeah, because you said you have been Claire.
It's like, oh my gosh, I was like, am I rejecting? I don't.
Reject humanity.
Yes, become
Return.
Mechanic-Kong.
Return to monkey.
Not return, become Mechanic-Kong.
Okay.
We will see you in the next one.
Bye.